I'm still reeling, trying to make sense of the last few weeks. My name is Quentin, and until recently I thought I had a pretty good life. I'm 43, work as a software architect in Seattle, and was married to Leticia for 15 years. We met in college, and she always seemed like my perfect match: intelligent, funny, beautiful. We built a life together, a nice house in the suburbs, 2 kids, a dog. The picture of suburban bliss, right? Wrong. It started subtly, almost imperceptibly. Leticia, a marketing manager, began working later hours. She attributed it to a big project at work, a new product launch that was supposedly critical for her company. I didn't think much of it at first. I trusted her implicitly. I'd make dinner, help the kids with their homework, and she'd come home exhausted but happy, or so I thought. Then came the business trips. One to Portland, another to San Francisco. Again, I didn't suspect anything. My job sometimes requires travel, so it didn't seem out of the ordinary. But she started being less communicative when she was away. Texts would go unanswered for hours, calls would go straight to voicemail. When I did manage to reach her, she'd be vague and dismissive, blaming bad reception or a busy schedule. My gut started churning. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I tried to rationalize it, to tell myself I was being paranoid. But the doubts persisted, gnawing at me. I started paying closer attention to her behavior at home. She was more distant, less affectionate. Our conversations felt strained, forced. The spark that had always been there seemed to have flickered out. One evening, while Leticia was at work, I decided to surprise her with dinner. I knew she'd been stressed, and I thought a romantic meal might help. I drove to her office building downtown, parked, and went inside. I told the security guard I was there to see Leticia. He looked at me strangely. "She's not here, sir," he said. "She left hours ago." My heart sank. I felt a cold dread wash over me. I thanked the guard and walked back to my car, my mind racing. Where could she be? I tried calling her, but she didn't answer. I left a message, trying to sound casual, asking her to call me when she had a chance. I drove home, a knot tightening in my stomach. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being lied to. I waited for her, pacing the living room, my anxiety growing with each passing minute. She finally arrived around 11 p.m., looking flushed and disheveled. "Sorry I'm late," she said, avoiding my gaze. "We had a last-minute crisis at the office." "I went to your office tonight," I said, my voice trembling. "The security guard said you left hours ago." She froze, her eyes widening in panic. "What? Why were you at my office?" she stammered. "I wanted to surprise you with dinner," I said, my voice cracking. "But you weren't there." "So where were you, Leticia?" She hesitated, her face contorting in a mixture of fear and guilt. "I had drinks with a client," she said finally. "We went to a bar downtown." "Which bar?" I pressed. She named a place I'd never heard of, a dive bar on the other side of town. I knew she was lying. Leticia hated dive bars. She preferred upscale lounges and trendy restaurants. "I don't believe you," I said, my voice rising. "I think you're lying to me." She burst into tears. "Please, Quentin, don't do this," she sobbed. "I can explain." "Then explain," I said, my voice cold and hard. "Tell me the truth." She confessed. She admitted to having an affair with a colleague named Barnaby. It had started a few months ago, she said, during one of her business trips. She claimed it was a mistake, a moment of weakness. She swore it was over. I was numb. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. The woman I loved, the woman I'd built a life with, had betrayed me in the worst possible way. 15 years of trust, of love, of commitment, shattered in an instant. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the past few months in my head, searching for signs I'd missed. How could I have been so blind? How could she have done this to me? The next few weeks were a blur of anger, pain, and confusion. I moved into the guest room. We barely spoke. The kids sensed something was wrong, but we tried to shield them from the truth. I couldn't bear to tell them that their mother had cheated on me. I considered kicking Leticia out, but I didn't want to disrupt the kids' lives any more than necessary. I also didn't want to make any rash decisions I might later regret. I decided to consult a lawyer. My lawyer, a sharp woman named Meredith, advised me to gather evidence. She suggested I hire a private investigator to confirm the affair was over and to uncover any other secrets Leticia might be hiding. I hesitated at first. The thought of spying on my wife felt dirty, wrong, but I knew I needed to know the truth. I hired a private investigator named Asher. He was discreet, professional and thorough. He started by tracking Leticia's movements, monitoring her phone calls and emails, and following her to and from work. It didn't take long for Asher to uncover more evidence of the affair. He provided me with photos and videos of Leticia and Barnaby meeting at hotels, restaurants, and even Barnaby's apartment. The affair was still ongoing. I was devastated. I felt like my heart was being ripped out of my chest. I confronted Leticia with the evidence. She denied it at first, but when I showed her the photos and videos, she broke down. She admitted that she'd been lying to me all along. "I'm so sorry, Quentin," she sobbed. "I don't know what's wrong with me. I love you, but I'm also attracted to Barnaby. I can't explain it. You love me," I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "If you loved me, you wouldn't have cheated on me. You wouldn't have lied to me. You wouldn't have betrayed me." I told her I wanted a divorce. I couldn't stay married to someone I couldn't trust, someone who had so callously disregarded our vows. She begged me to reconsider, but my mind was made up. The divorce was messy and painful. We fought over everything: the house, the kids, the finances. Leticia tried to paint me as the bad guy, claiming I was controlling and emotionally unavailable. But the truth was on my side. The evidence of her affair was irrefutable. In the end, I got custody of the kids and the house. Leticia was ordered to pay alimony and child support. She moved into a small apartment downtown. I was relieved to be free of her, but I was also heartbroken. I missed the woman I thought I knew, the woman I had loved for so long. I struggled to adjust to my new life as a single parent. I felt lonely and isolated. One day, Asher, the private investigator, called me. He said he had something important to tell me. I met him at a coffee shop near my house. "I uncovered something else during my investigation," he said. "Something you need to know." He told me that Barnaby was not just having an affair with Leticia. He was also having affairs with several other women at her company. He was a serial cheater, a predator who preyed on vulnerable women. I was disgusted. I couldn't believe Leticia had fallen for someone like that. But then again, maybe I shouldn't have been surprised. She had shown me her true colors. Asher also told me that Barnaby had a wife, a woman named Elowen. He suggested I contact her. I hesitated. I didn't want to get involved in someone else's drama. But I also felt a sense of responsibility to warn her about Barnaby's true nature. I found Elowen's number online and called her. She was shocked to learn about Barnaby's affairs. She had suspected something was going on, but she had no proof. She thanked me for telling her the truth. Elowen and I started talking regularly. We shared our stories of betrayal and heartbreak. We found comfort in each other's company. We realized we had a lot in common. Over time, our friendship blossomed into something more. We fell in love. It was unexpected, but it felt right. We both knew what it was like to be betrayed, to be lied to have our hearts broken. We understood each other in a way that no one else could. A year after my divorce, I married Elowen. We blended our families and started a new life together. It wasn't the life I had planned, but it was a good life. I was happy again. Leticia, on the other hand, didn't fare so well. Barnaby dumped her shortly after my divorce was finalized. She lost her job and struggled to find another one. She was alone and miserable. I don't feel any satisfaction in her suffering. I don't wish her any ill will. I just hope she learns from her mistakes and finds a way to be happy. I learned a valuable lesson from this experience. I learned that trust is fragile and that betrayal can shatter even the strongest relationships. But I also learned that it's possible to find love and happiness again, even after the most devastating heartbreak. And sometimes, the greatest betrayals lead us to the most unexpected blessings. Life has a funny way of working out, doesn't it? I never would have imagined that my wife's affair would lead me to my soulmate, but that's exactly what happened. And for that, I am grateful.